Where's the sound?
Mr.
Ah.
President,
Oh, they had it muted.
ladies and
Okay.
gentlemen, our negotiations have been held in a
quiet.
constructive
Turn this up.
atmosphere of mutual respect.
All right.
We have very thorough negotiations that were quite useful. I would like to thank once again my American counterpart for the proposal to travel out here to Alaska. It only makes sense that we've met here because our countries, though separated by the oceans, are close neighbors.
We are. With
So
Alaska.
when we've met, when I came out of the plane and I've said, "Good afternoon, dear neighbor. Very good to see you. In good health."
Technically, we
and
are
to see you
neighbors.
alive. I think that is very neighborly.
All
And I
right.
think that's some
Let's get to the point.
kind words that we can say to each other.
You know what? That's
We're separated by
right.
the Strait of Bering, though there are 2 islands only between us.
I don't have to
More than
endure
more than seven
the live
hundred
recording of this.
Of their memory. I think that's very worthy and noble. We'll always remember other historical examples when our countries defeated common enemies together in the spirit of battle camaraderie and allyship.
Oh, he's
They
probably
supported
making a
each
mention
other,
of Japan.
facilitated each
Surrender,
other.
maybe.
I'm sure that this heritage will help
We
us
fought
rebuild
together back
and
then.
foster mutually beneficial and equal ties at this new stage, even during the hardest conditions. It is known that there have been no summits between Russia and the U.S. for 4 years, and that's a long time. This time was
You know,
very
that's
hard
kind of
for
respectful of
bilateral
Trump that
relations
he
because
let
we
Vladimir
find
Putin go
they've
first.
fallen
I
to
bet that was
the
probably Trump's
lowest
idea.
point since the Cold War. I think that's not benefiting our countries and the world as a whole.
Nah,
It is
it ain't.
apparent that sooner or later we had to amend the situation to move on from the confrontation to dialogue. And
We
in this
do.
case, a personal
Amen.
meeting between
better
the heads
off
of
getting
state
along
has been
than
long
fighting.
overdue. Naturally, under the condition of serious and painstaking work, and this work has been done in general. Me and President Trump have very good direct contact.
All
We've
right.
spoken multiple times. We spoke frankly on the phone. And special envoy.
Yeah,
of the
Trump's got his
president,
earpiece
Mr.
in.
Witkoff traveled out to Russia several times. Our advisors and heads of foreign ministries kept in touch all the time. And you know fully well that one of the central issues was the situation around Ukraine. We see the strive
Obviously.
of the administration and President Trump personally to help facilitate the resolution of the Ukrainian conflict. And his strive to get to the crux of the matter to understand
Yeah,
its
he's
history
trying.
is precious. As I've said, the situation in Ukraine has to do with fundamental threats to our security. Moreover, we've always considered the Ukrainian nation, and I've said it multiple times, a brotherly nation, however strange it may sound in these conditions. We have the same roots.
Well, and
and
NATO
everything
keeps
that
trying to
happened
figure out
was
ways
a
to fuck it
tragedy
up
for
too
us,
by trying to
a
get
terrible
Ukraine
wound.
admitted into NATO, which is
Therefore, the
insane.
country is sincerely interested
Just
in
my opinion.
putting an end to it. At the same time, we're convinced that in order to make the settlement lasting and long-term, we need to eliminate all the primary roots, the primary causes of that conflict. And we've said it multiple times, to consider all legitimate concerns of Russia and to reinstate a just balance of security in Europe and in the world on the whole. And I agree with President Trump, as he has said today, that naturally the security of Ukraine should be ensured as well.
Everybody's
Naturally,
better off getting along,
we're
man.
prepared to work on that.
These freaking
I would
cultists
like
that
to
are
hope
running
that the
Europe these
agreement that
days.
we've reached together
gonna
will
drag
help
us into World War
bring
III.
closer to that goal and will pave the path towards peace in Ukraine. We expect that Kiev and European capitals will perceive that constructively and that they won't throw a wrench in the works. They will not make
I
any
somehow
attempts
doubt that.
to use some backroom dealings to conduct provocations to
And Zelensky, what's to stop him
torpedo
from
the
lobbing
nascent
fucking
progress.
missiles into Russia if they come to some ceasefire agreement?
Incidentally, when the new administration came to power, bilateral trade started to grow. It's still very symbolic. Still, we have a growth of 20%. As I've said, we have a lot of dimensions for joint work. It is clear that the U.S. and Russian investment and business cooperation has tremendous potential. Russia and the U.S. can offer each other so much in trade, digital, high-tech, And in space exploration,
Timber.
we see that
We need wood.
Arctic
We got to
cooperation
build
is also
houses.
very
Get the
possible.
prices down.
And our international context, for example, between
Among
the
other
forest
things.
of Russia and the west coast of the U.S. Overall, it's very important for our countries to turn the page, to go back to cooperation. It is symbolic that not far away from here, at the border between Russia and the U.S., there is a so-called international date line.
Yes, there is.
I think you can step over, literally, from yesterday into tomorrow. And I hope that's
Oh, come on, dude, with the metaphors.
in political sphere. I would like to thank President Trump for our
All
joint
right.
work, for the well-wishing and trustworthy tone of our conversation. It's important that both sides are result-oriented, and we see that the President of the U.S. has a very clear idea of what he would like to achieve. He sincerely cares about prosperity of his nation. Still, he understands that
Well, I assume you do
Russia
too.
has its own national interests. I expect that today's agreements will be the starting point, not only for the solution of the Ukrainian issue, but also will help us bring back.
Look, what I think is going to be interesting about this was that Trump, just this week, he added 50% tariffs onto India because they're buying Russian oil. And with some of the oil, they're turning around and selling it at a profit. So Trump is punishing them from buying Russian oil. So I'm wondering how that may have factored into the negotiations. If he backs off of India and drops their tariff, or either that or he no longer has an issue with them dealing with the oil trade with Russia, I think that's going to be a pretty big step.
Business-like and pragmatic relations between Russia and the U.S. And
'Cause
in
that
the
is a
end, I'd
lot
like
of
to
money for
add
Russia.
One more thing. I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then that it's a big mistake.
Yeah. Well, they want it.
Today, when President Trump saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And
There wouldn't be.
Quite sure
Maybe.
that it would indeed be so.
Oh.
I can confirm that.
Oh.
I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, business-like, and trustworthy contact.
Good.
And I
Better
have
off getting
every reason
along.
to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, man.
Thank you very
Whoa.
much, Mr. President. That was,
Dropped a bomb on the Biden
very
administration.
profound, and I will
Fucking
say that
assholes.
I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on. Most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones.
Awesome.
that
The
we haven't
ceasefire?
Quite got there, but
That's
we've
gonna be the
made
big one.
some headway. So
That's what Trump wants the
there's
most.
no deal until there's a deal. I will call up
Time to
NATO
turn this up.
in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll of course call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and
I
some
bet
of
they're
the
not.
great people.
They're gonna
from
fuck
the
this
Trump
up. I know
administration
Ukraine's gonna
who've
fuck this
come
up.
here. Scott and
Whatever this deal
John
might be.
Radcliffe, thank you very much.
But it
We
might
have,
not be fair to Ukraine,
some
though.
of
You
our
know,
really
you got to see it from
great
their
leaders. They've
perspective.
been
They
doing a
were
phenomenal
invaded.
job.
So,
we also have
I mean,
some
you got to give them a little bit on that.
business representatives here, and I think everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time, and we look forward to that. We look forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. That made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but
Yeah,
he understood it.
bullshit.
I
Putin
think
cracked
he's
a smile when
probably
he said
seen
that.
things like that during the course of his
He's like, yeah, I know.
career. He's seen-
Your fucking Democrat Party,
seen
you're
it
fucking
all.
demons, man.
But we had to put up with the Russia
Didn't really
hoax.
used to
He
be.
knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax.
Sure as hell
but
become that now.
What was done was very criminal, but it made it harder for us to deal as a country in terms of the business and all of the things that we'd like to have dealt with. But we'll have a good chance when this is over. So
They did, man.
just
They
to put it
desperately
very
want us at war
quickly,
against
I'm gonna
Russia.
Start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened.
They want
But
annihilation,
we
man.
had an
They want a
extremely
100 million
productive
population. That's
meeting,
what they want.
and Many points were agreed to.
All the roads lead to that.
There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant. But we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but
probably
we have a very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team, who I know in many cases, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss, but
the boss.
Especially this one right over here. But we had some good meetings over the years, right? Good productive meetings over the years, and we hope to have that in the future. But let's do the most productive one right now. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed, and President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So, again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon.
Oh, that's it?
Thank you very much,
all right,
Vladimir.
All right.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting
I'll
get a
maybe.
little heat on that one, but
maybe.
I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all.
That would be
thank
very
you.
interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I mean, hell, he's talking to the president who walked into North Korea by himself for crying out loud. All right. Well, I guess are they going to take questions or no? No, they're not. They're not? It says joint press conference, though. All right. All right. Wow, that was a lot shorter than I expected it to be. Okay. Well, that was the end of that. I guess we'll just have to see what happens. I'm sure that probably wasn't the appropriate time to divulge the nitty-gritty details as to if there is going to be a ceasefire. Doesn't sound like there's going to be, because I know that was the main one that Trump was hoping for. Maybe Putin possibly said that we will agree to a ceasefire if Ukraine does too. Maybe they're like, look, we're ready to do it if they're ready to do it. I don't know, man. That's going to be very tricky. He's probably going to have a more difficult conversation with Ukraine because I don't know, man. Zelensky, he's always come off as a loose cannon, in my opinion. Anyway, so this is, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to scroll down and start from the beginning. Honestly, when I put all this together, of course, this press conference hadn't been announced yet. They were in negotiations for almost 3 hours at the time that I last checked. And it was on, let me just check the profile here. So Dan Scavino, he was updating very regularly. So happening now, let's see, one hour ago, this was at 5:55 p.m. Right now it is 7:33 p.m. my time currently when I'm recording this. But it was at the 2.5 hour mark. So it looked like they probably just went just a little bit over 2.5. Maybe they hit 3 hours. I guess that's possible. So anyway, so I haven't seen these video clips yet. I figured I'd just watch it as I go. So this was from earlier this morning, of course, at 8 o'clock a.m. That was when President Trump departed at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland. And we'll give this a quick play, just adjusting my sound. I messed around with microphone settings, so hopefully I'm not going to be playing these videos too damn loud.
And there's the president making his way up.
Oh, my God.
Steps there for Air Force One, making a wave.
Why the fuck was it so loud,
the
man?
Crowd and entering Air Force One. He has a long flight ahead of him.
Good Lord, man. These fucking sound settings, dude. All right. Fuck, man, that's going to take some getting used to. All right, proceed with caution. You might want to unplug or pluck your earbuds out of your ears for about an inch. All right, so I'm going to... Actually, you don't have to do that for this one. I'm actually turning it way down, and then I'm just going to ratchet it up a little bit. So this one's about 6 minutes. So President Trump speaks to reporters on Air Force One en route to Alaska. This is from Rapid Response 47. The time is about 12:35 p.m. today. Let's take a look at this. All right, now I can crank it up a little.
Success of this summit today.
There we go.
I can't tell you that. I don't know. It's there's nothing set in stone. I want certain things. I want to see a ceasefire. This is not to do with Europe. Europe's not telling me what to do. But they're going to be involved.
Well, good.
In the
They sure shit
process,
better not.
obviously, as well as Zelensky. But I want to see a ceasefire rapidly. I don't know if it's going to be today, but I'm not going to be happy if it's not today. Everyone said it can't be today, but I'm just saying I want the killing to stop. I'm in this to stop the killing. You know, we're not putting up any money. We're making money. They're buying our weapons, and we're sending them to NATO, and NATO's sending us big, beautiful
Well, yeah, man,
jets.
war is very profitable.
But I don't care about that. I care about It was a big factor when
At least
Biden
it often
spent
can be.
$350 billion, he got nothing. But what I do care about is they lost last week 7,011 people were lost, almost all soldiers. 36
man.
people in a town which got hit by a missile, but over 7,000 soldiers. It's crazy.
Could you
That's a
describe
lot.
A little bit, Mr. President, because I know you've had a lot of phone calls with President Putin. What's the difference in a face-to-face, in-person meeting?
Look, he's a smart guy. Been doing it for a long time, but so have I. Been doing it for a long time. And here we are with President. That was much more difficult than what I'm doing today, believe me. So we get along. There's a good respect level on both sides. And I think, something's going to come of it. I notice he's bringing a lot of business people from Russia. And that's good. I like that because they want to do business, but they're not doing business until we get the war settled.
Yeah, fair point.
We have the hottest country on earth. We have the hottest economy on earth. We have the hottest country. We just set a new stock market record again. We have hundreds of billions of dollars flowing in from
Yeah, it's kind of concerning for the everyday middle class citizen, though. Rich getting richer, poor getting poorer.
Dead country. 1 year ago, we were dead as a doornail, and now we have the hottest country. And he wants.
Yeah, shit wasn't good a year ago.
This country is not hot economically. In fact, it's the opposite. And China's not doing well economically.
No, they're not, man. They're not doing good at all in China.
I want everybody to do well. The war's got to stop, and the killing's got to stop.
Mr. President, what do you mean by thank you for coming back to take questions. We saw that Russia continued its violence into Ukraine last night, launching even more drones. What did you make of that?
I think they're trying to negotiate. He's trying to set a stage. I mean, in his mind, that helps him make a better deal. It actually hurts him. But in his mind, that helps him make a better deal if they can continue the killing. Maybe it's a part of the world. Maybe it's just his fabric, his genes, his genetics. But he thinks that makes him, gives him strength in negotiating. I think it hurts him. But
Yeah, it's a very different country from our country.
On the table for discussions today, Mr. President, are the territorial swaps on the table? Will you be discussing that?
They'll be discussed, but I've got to let Ukraine make that decision. And I think they'll make a proper decision. But I'm not here to negotiate.
Sounds like either way, Ukraine's losing land. Sounds like.
You have two sides. Look, Vladimir Putin wanted to take all of Ukraine. If I wasn't president, he would right now be taking all of Ukraine.
Probably.
But he's not going to do it.
Mr. President, what did you think?
Just one thing. What about the possibility of the United States providing security guarantees to Ukraine?
Maybe. Along with Europe and other countries. Not in the form of NATO, because that's not going to, there are certain things that aren't going to happen. But, along with Europe, there's a possibility of that.
Mr. President, the number of business people that President Putin is bringing along, is that something that you want to discuss with President Putin at this meeting?
If we make progress, I would discuss it, because that's one of the things that they would like. They'd like to get a piece of what I built in terms of the economy. Just
Absolutely.
So we're a dead country.
God, man, I hope that happens, man.
He wouldn't be interested. He wouldn't have been interested a year ago with the Biden economy. But he is interested in the Trump economy.
Look, I don't know if it's feasible or not, but one thing I keep hearing over and over with regard to building new houses is the wood, the timber, how expensive it's become, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me because they jacked up the cost for wood, like 400% during the supply chain shortage back in 2020, 21. And it hasn't come back down anywhere near to where it was in 2019, at least not from what I've witnessed. And we haven't had a huge slide in the amount of timber supply overall, at least not to my knowledge. And if we have, then why? I don't really understand why, if that's the case. But either way, I think if we were to open up possibly timber from Siberia, I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I don't even know if that's the right kind of wood that grows up there that would be feasible for building homes in America. I'm not sure. Obviously, there's a lot of other resources that Russia has. And of course, they want resources we have, at least with what Vladimir Putin said. They want tech. They want tech resources. So, and we do have plenty of that, especially with the hundreds of billions of dollars that's being invested into the U.S. Apple's coming back home, for crying out loud.
We're doing. Wait till you see when those factories start opening up. We have hundreds of factories all over the country, and that includes auto factories, AI factories, and every other. They're all coming in.
Energy,
because
another
they wanna
one.
beat the tariffs. Because if they open here, they don't have to pay tariffs.
They don't.
If they don't open here, they have to pay, in some cases, 200%, 300%. I haven't even set some of the tariffs yet.
Yeah, and they might as well just pay the employees. Just pay the American salaries. It's a win-win. It may not be a big win for your company, but you're going to have to pay the tariffs anyway. I don't know what it's going to calculate to if they stay overseas and they're having to pay X percentage of tariffs, or if they just move everything back to the U.S. and they have to pay American employee prices or wages, then is it still going to be cheaper than the tariffs? If it is, then why not come back home, especially if it's an American-based company? It'd be ridiculous not to, and it wouldn't make any sense, at least not to me.
I'll be setting tariffs next week and the week after on steel and on, I would say, chips.
All right, all right.
Chips and semiconductors we'll be setting sometime next week, week after.
All right, that's interesting.
What rate?
I'm going to have a rate that is going to be lower at the beginning. Then that gives them a chance to come in and build. And very high after a certain period of time. And if they don't build here, they have to pay a very high tariff, which doesn't work, so they'll come and build.
Very smart. I think that might work.
Earlier,
I didn't see you over there. Isn't he a gentleman? He's nice.
he's helping me out.
He's a very nice. He's one of the few nice ones, actually.
You had said earlier this week that Putin would face severe consequences if you get the sense from him that he's not interested. What do you mean by that?
Economically severe. Yes, it will be very severe.
Uh-oh.
I'm doing this for my health, okay? I don't need it. I'd like to focus on our country, but I'm doing
Good point.
this to save a lot of lives. Yeah, very severe. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yep, the president of peace. He's already secured 9 peace deals as president of the United States, including his first term. But he's secured, what, 5 so far? Or no, 6. I think it was 6 so far this year. Quite a lot of peace deals happening, so good news. I'll be very curious to hear how that plays out as far as their negotiations, what they ended up negotiating in the end. I'm assuming he's probably putting together a truth social post, probably as I speak. So I might probably jump back onto Scavino's profile. Yeah, I'll probably jump in there near the end of this episode just to see if there might be anything new with regard to what was negotiated. It's really going to suck if he's like, well, I can't talk about it. That wouldn't be good, but I don't know. Maybe none of it is really vital enough to the everyday American people. But I'm sure we're going to get some, at least some, if not most of the details. All right, so this is from, again, Rapid Response 47. And it's a quote from Trump. Both lines are, so I might as well just play the video because I'm not just going to read it and he repeat the same thing.
What are your expectations? I mean, is the goal of this meeting in Alaska to walk away with a ceasefire?
So when you talk about deals, it's all I do. My whole life I do deals. You never know. You don't like to have too many expectations. You want it because you have to weave and bob, and you don't know what's going to happen. But we're going to go and find out. I'd like to see a ceasefire. I wouldn't be thrilled if I didn't get it, but everyone says you're not going to get the ceasefire. It'll take place on the second meeting. The second meeting is going to be but I'm not going to be happy with that. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to be, I won't be happy if I walk away without some form of a ceasefire. Now, I say this, and I've said it from the beginning, this is really setting the table today. We're going to have another meeting if things work out, which will be very soon. Or we're not going to have any more meetings at all, maybe ever.
Oh, man. Oh, no, man. Is it really that crucial? Oh, no. Well, it sounded like it went well, though, so it does sound pretty clearly, at least in my opinion, that it looks like a second meeting is going to end up happening. He said very soon. I don't know what that means. The last time that that Putin met with, I don't know about Biden. I don't know. I doubt that they met, but I think the last time that he met with Americans was, well, no, not. I can't even word it that way. I'm trying to remember. It was like 2020 or 2019 or something like that. It was a while ago since the last time. So very soon. I mean, that could be months and months away for all we know, but hopefully not. Hopefully it's only weeks away. So this is from the White House. President Donald J. Trump greets Russian President Vladimir Putin at the historic summit in Anchorage, Alaska. So this is when they meet. Trump's right there waiting for Putin, shaking hands. He does the arm tap. A few words. Apparently Putin said that we're neighbors. Hi, neighbor. Walking, talking. Probably happy to meet your acquaintance once again. Dude, the amount of planes that they had out there was insane. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I'm not an expert on planes. I'm not even really all that good at naming fighter jets. But I'm pretty sure that all the fighter jets they had out here on the runway were F-22 Raptors. Of course, there's Air Force One. I believe these are Raptors. I'm pretty sure they are. F-22s. Oh, they're flying overhead. Hell yeah. That was probably the B-2. They flew the B-2 over. It looked like Putin didn't even look. If that's what the flyover was. They did do a flyover with the B-2, and it looked like 4 Raptors. Man, look at that view, man. That's gorgeous. Too damn cold for me, man. Nope, I like heat. I like a lot of heat. Alaska ain't got much heat. Alaska 2025. Set up the stage. They really made kind of a big thing out of this. Got the military. All right, yeah, there's some of those planes. And let's move on. So this is the flyover here. There's just images of it. I believe I do have a video clip of this as well. But yeah, here's some still images of the B-2 and what I believe to be F-22s. Pretty sure those are F-22s. Looks like them. I mean, all right, so happening now 4 hours ago, though. And this is just probably another angle of them walking. Oh, here we go. Here we go. It was the flyover. Ah, it's so badass. Oh, man, those are fucking awesome, man. I love those planes. Only got to see a B-2 once in my whole life in the air, which is, I'm sure it's pretty rare to see one of those in the sky with your own eyes, unless you're seconds from death. But yeah, I went to the Indy 500 in 2011, and they flew the B-2 overhead because it was the 100th running of the Indy 500. I was very lucky to be there. I was actually in Indianapolis. Like, I moved back up there for a short period of time back then, so I was fortunate enough to catch it. But yeah, they flew the B-2 over. It was amazing. So, dude, check out all these. Check out all these. Again, I think they're F-22s. I think they are. But yeah, what's crazy about these F-22s, man, is that they are so absurdly advanced that they're starting to wind down production of them because they have no match from any other country on Earth. There is no plane out there that is a fair match for the F-22. Even the missiles they use, I can't remember the name of the missiles, but they use these missiles that they could fire from like 100 miles away at their enemy, and they won't even see them coming. And these missiles are capable of doing like sharp U-turns and everything, and it follows them until it finally blows them out of the sky. And it ain't like some Top Gun shit where you have to lock on or anything. They just hit a button and it just takes them out from a crazy distance. So anyway, these are Russian vehicles. Looks like Putin's convoy. I think that's hilarious. They have the old school looking like 1980s police siren on top of it. I don't know what those things are. They're definitely not Bentleys. It must be some Russian manufacturer. And there's no sound. There's no sound of this, so I guess I could have hit play a minute ago. But yeah, so they're showing a whole bunch of these planes. I don't know if we're kind of overdoing it. Just showing off like crazy in front of Putin. Got some insane helicopters. Attack helicopters. I'm honestly not familiar with those. If you know what kind of helicopters those are, just drop it in the comment, because I honestly don't know what those are. They're not Apaches, are they? No, come on. Maybe they are. I don't know. What do I know? Maybe they are. All right. No. Apaches are a lot smaller, aren't they? Don't Apaches only seat like one person? No. Fuck. What am I thinking of? No, no, not Tomahawk. I don't know. Whatever. I'll shut the fuck up. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. All right. So that was the motorcade. And so another one from Dan Scavino. This is when they drive by the B-2. They actually had a B-2 parked out here. It probably wasn't the same one that flew overhead. At least I'm assuming it wasn't, but maybe it was. So there it is. The B-2. They drove right by it. It's just funny that we're just showing off our insane American might in front of President Putin. But maybe it's normal. Maybe anytime that they do a meeting, if it happens to be on an Air Force base, maybe they just roll out everything we got, just showing it off. Of course, the whole world's watching, too, so that it's not just probably for President Putin. It's probably also because the entire planet is watching this or at least anybody who's anybody, politically, diplomatically. So I guess that's just a reminder that we have these ridiculously insane fighter jets that nobody in the world's allowed to have except for us. As a matter of fact, Congress, one of the few things that Congress has agreed on in recent decades is that they agreed that no other country on Earth is to receive F-22s, not for any price at all. That is strictly the United States' property. All right, so from Dan Scavino again, President Trump and President Putin and the Beast headed to meet at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson in Anchorage, Alaska. Again, without sound, just a quick 3-second clip of them. And then this is them meeting once they're inside, smiling for the camera. Putin's trying to put on his game face, trying to look all serious. Now, I'm going to try to direct your attention to, oh yeah, I forgot, this is fucking X. Damn it. All right, so how am I going to do this? I'm going to try to copy it and see. I don't think it's going to let me do this, but I'm going to attempt to do this. Just bear with me a second. Oh, hey, it did. All right, so I'm getting really basic. I'm pulling up paint. All right, so copy paste, Putin, Trump. Now look at Vladimir Putin's hand. What the fuck's going on with his hand here? Isn't that weird? His hand's all jacked up looking. Well, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, it actually looks like a shadow. Yeah, it's definitely a shadow. But the way that his hand was like perfectly in line with this part of the chair, with this leg that goes up to the back, it almost looked like it was like some screwed up AI rendering. Now, I deal with AI images all the time, and it just looked like that one of his digits was folded over the top of his hand. So look, when I zoom it out, you see how weird that looks? It just looks weird. But yeah, now that I've zoomed in and actually looked at it a little more carefully, it's just the shadow from his sleeve that's just casting right over the top of his hand. But so it wasn't just me who noticed that. There were other people who noticed that. They were like, "What the fuck's going on with his hand? What the hell's going on with this shit? It's fucking weird." But yeah, now that I've looked at it up close, I mean, that's not a big deal. Yeah, here you go. Putin's right hand looks weird. But yeah, it's just a shadow. I don't know, though. Like, where's... Oh, okay, yeah, you can just kind of see his fingers, like, tucked underneath. It was almost like his hand was, like his fingers were chopped off or something. But yeah, there were a couple of other people that were mentioning that, like, how that looks just strange.